one of his pet generals, Alexander, it would have comprised a majority of British troops, the chauvinistic streak in his strategy, and it would have been essentially a Churchillian notion. For all these reasons, it was deeply opposed by his own chiefs of staff, in particular Alan Brooke, who never saw the strategic sense of trying elephant-like to get over the Alps.
It is actually, I fear, another one of Churchill's barking mad ideas, and Alan Brooke and George Marshall will have nothing to do with it, and quite right too.
The Churchill that the public saw was a hero, but in the war room, the generals were forced to battle against Churchill's occasionally misguided view of military planning. But this wasn't their only cause of concern. At times, they were also alarmed by what they saw as Churchill's heavy drinking. In 1944, Allied troops were fighting their way across Europe, driving back the Nazis. For 4 long years, Churchill's inspirational courage gave Britain the will to fight on. But throughout that time, Churchill was a man with a tendency to depression and mood swings, a tendency that some argue he had learned to treat with liberal doses of alcohol.
Alcohol and mood are intimately related. I think when people are depressed, they often self-medicate with alcohol to relieve anxiety and maybe bolster their spirits a bit. I think when people are manic, they tend to be able to drink more. They drink more for enjoyment, they can tolerate it more, and often just go over the top on all manner of indiscretions, and drink is part of that.
As a teenager, Churchill developed a taste for champagne. But his drinking habits began to change in the 1930s.
People sometimes differentiate between bad drunks, mad drunks, and sad drunks, and he was kind of a sad, and I would see him almost using alcohol as an antidepressant. It is interesting in terms of his need for glory. It was when he was out of office that it was reported that he drank rather more heavily.
In the short term, you expect, as we all know, alcohol improves mood, it helps to overcome mood problems. Over a longer period, alcohol will itself be causing mood problems and will be ineffective as a self-medication, and has the risk attached to it of developing dependence on alcohol itself.
If Churchill started by using alcohol to ease depression, by the 1940s, he had become used to drinking on a daily basis, which could have had drastic repercussions on the war effort. On the 2nd of April 1940, Churchill tried to make a speech to the House of Commons, but he became confused and had to be led away, prompting the journalist Cecil King to comment, "It's at times like these that age and excessive brandy drinking tell."
There were indeed some occasions when at the late-night conferences to which the military were often subjected by Churchill, there's little doubt that Churchill had had too much to drink. There is a moment in 1944 when the diaries of all those present, Alan Brooke, Eden, and other military officers, all agree that Churchill was at times almost incoherent, and as one of them said, recuperating with drink.
But those close to Churchill are certain that he did not have a problem with alcohol.
He didn't drink very much. It was greatly exaggerated. For instance, after breakfast, he'd have a whiskey and soda.
It was very, very weak. It was about 1/3 the strength that most whiskey drinkers would accept, and he would have maybe 2 of these very weak whiskies and sodas before lunch.
The whiskey and soda was there to moisten his throat, the throat moistener, nothing else.
He would drink half a bottle of champagne, and after lunch he would drink 1 or 2 goblets of, but very small, about 1 inch, of brandy.
and then he would resume his weak whiskies and sodas in the afternoon, and in the evening more champagne, and then there would be whiskies and sodas through the night till he finally hit the hay at about 2:30, 3 in the morning.
And I never saw him the worse for drink.
Churchill's friends and colleagues are clear that he didn't drink to excess, but even moderate amounts of alcohol can present a problem in the longer term.
What does happen is that people develop tolerance to alcohol and so may appear perfectly